Been a long time. Back again. And of course, my name is Russell Gerber with you folks for the next half an hour or so for the Boma Show. And we'll be going through the live cameras, some of our highlight videos, and if we have time, some of our snapshots that you folks have taken for us. But we'll be taking questions, of course, on the website. And you'll see just below the live stream, there's a little box there. You can put your questions right there, and I'll do my best to get to them during the show. But as always, it's a pleasure to be with you, and I hope you all caught our show last week that Phil and I did together. On Point is our new series of shows that we'll be putting together for you folks. Last week was all about Africam and its cameras. And for those of you who missed it, we're actually going to be doing it again tomorrow so that you can get all that info, get those questions in for the On Point show. We'll be, of course, doing a new topic next week, and we'll be letting you guys know all about that tomorrow. So please join us then, same time. We'll be going over Africam and its cameras. But today, of course, is the Boma Show. And we started out today at the beautiful Tembe. And as Suki mentioned on the website, the elephants have really been all over the show today from all our cameras around the country. We seem to have done a little ninja bomb right now. We've got this lovely herd of impala by the waterhole. Of course, on the other side of the water too, and you'll notice, for those of you who join us consistently, those water levels dropping swiftly. Way off the center of screen now, we've got that beautiful bushbuck ram. Bushbuck, waterbuck, sorry. You can see that lovely white ring on his backside. And then, of course, these impala females. Suki, let me know if the sound is better now. We've adjusted that, so just let us know if you can hear us okay, but it should be coming through loud and clear for you folks. And I hope you're all enjoying the new formats. Of course, tomorrow we've got the On Point show, as I mentioned, and Phil's show on Thursday. Lovely to be back with you on the live cameras. So keep those questions coming, folks. We're going to kick off today here at Tembe. I thought I'd show you a lovely highlight video that we've got of some lionesses. It's always a pleasure to see the big cats. We don't often get them in the afternoon. I know last week we were fortunate enough to get them during the On Point show, which was great. As we've spoken about in the past, we don't see them as much as we do in the winter. The lions and the predators tend to move with the herds, and as they can move into the other parts of the reserve when there's less water, the lions follow them, of course. But if you listen quietly in this video, you hear those lovely alarm calls of the impala. These two lionesses, having a look at them, but of course they are very obvious to the antelope in the area at the moment, and they're not too bothered about being secretive or hidden. Once they get called out like that, of course, it's very difficult, almost impossible for lions to actually make a kill. They have to get very close to their prey when they are hunting. They are, of course, ambush predators, very similar to the way leopards hunt. But of course, the big difference with the lions is that they have teammates, as it were. You can see the reflection of all those terrified impala in the water. There they are. You often get asked, why don't the impala all just run away once they've seen the lionesses? And the truth is, once they've seen them, as I mentioned, they actually prefer to keep them in sight so that they know what they're up to. They know that once they can see them, they're faster and more agile, and they can escape as long as they're not surprised by those lions. One of the tactics we see quite often with lions, of course, is that they tend to chase the herd or an individual towards the rest of the pride, if they can. In that way, almost setting up a ambush. Watching these lionesses, Gene has got a question. Young lions tried to get close to an ellie a few nights back. Really close before he reacted. Can they see with such small eyes? It's a great question, Gene. They do actually have pretty decent eyesight. It's not as bad as many people give them credit for, the elephants. But as they tend to not be on the menu for the major predators of Africa, they sometimes don't have the best awareness of when there is a predator around, and it's why often those bigger cats, smaller cats, even leopards sometimes can get very close to the elephants. And on occasion you'll actually see the elephants realizing that they're close by and getting a big fright, running off in the other direction. And then as soon as they realize, oh, hang on, I'm an elephant, they turn around and will chase those predators off into the distance. So they can see them. They will often miss them for those reasons. But for the most part, they're really not bothered about any predators at all. They'll simply chase them off because they can in most cases. But as you would suspect, the elephants much more often will pick up the scent of the lions before they see them. And it will sometimes put them on edge, particularly if they are a herd with young members. And they will try and find the lions and then will normally chase them off. So I hope that answers your question, Jean. Let's head over to Tau. I haven't been there today, but a lovely video of those lions at Tembe. Hopefully we get lucky and see them a little later, but we'll cross over to Tau now. Where we've had a lot of elephant action during the day, and fortunate to have a breeding herd there right now. It looked like a big flock of red-billed quailias. It just flew off as we crossed over. And of course those beautiful plain zebra in the background. You can see this lovely breeding herd with a male in the foreground, it looks like. Now remember, the males will not normally hang out with the herd itself, but they often come together at waterholes like this. And if the elephant male is in must, he will often check the females if any of them are in estrus and ready to mate. But for the most part, other big male elephants being around the waterholes when the herds are there with young babies tends to stress out the herd quite a lot, and you'll often find the females have secretions from their temporal gland around the waterholes, and that's suggesting just a little bit of an increased level of stress. As we get into the drier season, we'll get more and more of these herds all together at the waterhole and encountering the big males. Although they're not any particular danger to the youngsters, of course, just their size and their drive to mate can sometimes make them a little clumsy. And in rare instances, the youngsters can actually get crushed when the males get too overbearing in trying to mate with the females. So that's one of the reasons why those females get stressed out. Suki pointing out there were some baboons in the background on the tree lines. Okay, I'm not sure. I missed them. I think they were here at Tau, so we'll have a little look around, see if I can spot them again. We've got a question from Jean. Do the males' foreheads grow wider as they age? Some seem really wide. Yeah, it's another good question, Jean. It's one of the ways we sex elephants. Can be quite difficult, of course, if you can't see their genital area. But one of the best ways is that wide forehead. Yes, absolutely. And you often see you have much more wide and rounded forehead on big male elephants. And you often also see they develop almost these quite large dimples or concaves either side the upper part of the bridge of the trunk. So next time we have a close-up view of the males, we'll have a look at that. And it is, as I say, one of the ways that we can identify the males and females. You'll also notice, of course, for the most part, the big older males are significantly bigger than the females. You can see here in this shot pretty clearly that male in the middle of the screen. What a wonderful sight with all these elephants around, zebra in the background. I know you mentioned, Suki, a couple of weeks ago that we hadn't been seeing the elephants at Tau. And we mentioned that it's likely they're going to come back soon as things start to dry up in the rest of the reserve. And here they are. So for once, I was right. Look at that lovely little group of youngsters near the front of this herd as they're moving off to the right. There really is nothing like a big sighting of elephants like this live on the cameras. Absolute procession of elephants going past the waterhole there. I can hear the music from the Jungle Book in my ears as those elephants march in line like that. You can see that youngster getting stuck into the edge of the waterhole there on the left of your screen. Now pretty much center of screen. And Gene, another question on the elephants. The subject of the male, you notice they let it all hang out even when there's no females around. You said, sorry if it's too delicate to discuss. No, Gene, nothing too delicate to discuss when it comes to elephants. And they do certainly let it all hang out. There's not a particular reason for it, to be honest. At times, they do have elevated levels of testosterone when they are going through must. And that will often develop into them having their penis hanging out and quite low, as we know. And that's certainly one of the reasons. At other times, it will happen even when they aren't in must. Sometimes it happens just when they're excited. Sometimes it happens when they are playing with other males or play fighting with other males. And it can be a sign of dominance. On occasion, you'll even see younger males trying to mount other males, again, exercising that dominance over another. So those would be the major reasons that you do actually see the elephants getting their fifth leg out for you to see. And other than that, there's not a particular reason for it. It's just because from time to time they will have a peak and a trough of hormone levels in their body as they go throughout the day. So it's a difficult question and fairly vague answer, but I hope that gives you some clarity there, but keep it coming. We've got a lovely video of an elephant having a good mud bath here at Tau that I wanted to show you folks. It was a wonderful sighting of that big herd moving through. So now that we've got a little break, we'll have a great video for you. There's nothing quite like watching an elephant getting stuck in, rolling about in the mud. You can see this one really getting every angle covered as much as possible. It's always such a wonderful thing to see. Unfortunately, I'm sure many of you would also know that it can be very dangerous for elephants, particularly younger elephants. When they do roll around like this, and occasionally they can get stuck in that mud. And more often than not, the mother of the youngsters will be able to get them out, but every now and again they actually can't, and those elephants get stuck and can't make it out of the mud hole at all. So it is an interesting thing to watch, and something that always makes me a little nervous when I see a young baby rolling about like that. But this one, of course, a young male. We were just talking about them letting it hang out. And again, as we mentioned, it can happen just from getting excited. Doesn't need to be a particular reason for it. It just sometimes happens, as I mentioned, with the different levels of hormones throughout the day. But a lovely little video of him rolling about. So let's go back live now, where we've got little babies drinking by the water hole. Which is always something I love to watch. There you can see that youngster on the right. Be around about a year to 2 years old, figuring out how to use that trunk. We really have had loads of elephants around today, and what a wonderful sight it is. But a question from Janice. I saw a large elephant the other day. Its tusk was twisted right around to point towards its chest. And how would that happen, and will it be in pain? Another good question, Janice. Yeah, it does happen from time to time where you see the tusks growing in the wrong direction. For the most part, it doesn't really hurt them. It's simply a deformity. And as things go on and as they grow, they will often use that tusk to help them feed, and that will often keep it a little shorter. But if not, if they can't actually use it at all, Unfortunately, Janice, yes, from time to time, tusk growing backwards and curving back up can actually start to hurt the animal itself. And in that instance, there's really not much that can be done without intervening. Which, of course, is something we try not to do with the animals as much as we can. But you do see it quite often from time to time all over southern Africa and East Africa with those tusks growing in abnormal directions. So, yeah, it's an unfortunate thing, and it's something the animals just have to deal with from time to time, and within certain generations it can be more common than others, but thankfully you don't see it very often. Wow, Tao is really showing off for us today. As you can see, things looking quite hazy around there, looking really hot. Temperatures approaching 40 degrees Celsius. So this waterhole is the best place to be right now for the animals. Which of course means it's the best place for us to be. So always a pleasure to get so many elephants. Of course, these lovely plain zebra, all just filling up the gaps and keeping things exciting everywhere you look. But let's head across to Rosie's. We haven't been over there today. Just have a little look around. Been so spoiled with the elephants today, but always nice to keep an eye out at Rosie's to see what may be around. I just love the reflection we so often see at Rosie's. That angle of camera just gives us such nice views with that reflection. So folks, coming to the end of the show today, I hope you enjoyed it. It's always a pleasure being with you folks, and I hope you'll join me again next week. Please, a reminder just to join us for the On Point show tomorrow with Phil and myself. We'll be going through the background of Africam and its cameras and how we get the shows to you folks and how the whole operation works. It should be fun. Half an hour, same time tomorrow. And then, of course, don't miss Phil's show Thursday, 2:30 for the Hide. If you have any questions on the cameras while you're out there watching, write them down, drop us an email, whatever. Keep them in mind for the shows, but we always love to have your impact or input. Looks pretty quiet at Rosie. So we're going to keep the cameras going, as always, folks, 24 hours a day. So stay with us. Keep your eyes peeled. Let us know if you see anything great. And we, of course, will chat about any other highlights that will come up in the rest of the week. So from myself and the rest of the AfriCam production team, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Cheers for now.